And one of these days I want to watch that movie and you win the match.
The movie, Anthony, you're a winner. It's Mom. I love you.
Oh,
Can anyone hear Anthony? Because I can't.
No.
no.
Okay.
I can hear you guys, but not Anthony.
Okay.
Kelly.
I want to make sure. Can you hear me? It's like, why don't I have? Looks like they're figuring it out.
And you got 13 seconds to unmute.
Good one, Coach.
The Cindy said that too. They just flashed Bucky Grammys.
Must be something about the movie sharing. Uh-oh.
Hello?
Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right.
How'd you fix that?
Roo on the old computer-oo.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Okay.
So did you hear anything we said before?
No.
No.
Well, first of all, thank you so much to everyone that joined and made this possible. And I just really appreciate you guys. You know, it wouldn't have been possible. This wouldn't have happened without everyone that came and without Kelly, who put everything together literally, and with the help of Chris and everyone who promoted. So thank you to everyone that's here. And we have some really, really special guests up for the Q&A. We have my amazing mom and dad and Sue and Bo Ferraro. And then we have Chris Suchorsky, the creator of this film, who created it with my brother Oliver. And then we have Pat Smith, my high school wrestling coach. And we have Mike Malinconico, my mentor and wrestling coach through basically when I started wrestling. And we're going to start off. We have a few questions for those people that we have already set. And then once we're finished with that, we're going to open up to everybody to ask their questions. So I really appreciate you, everyone being here and just spending their time. I know, you know, we'd all have like things to do. So you taking your time out to spend with us is really, it means a lot to me. So thank you. And this really wouldn't be possible without Kelly, who did everything with all the planning and organizing and troubleshooting. So thanks for being patient. And first, we will start with Chris. If you want to start with
All right.
Kelly's going to moderate.
Okay, so let's see here. Hopefully you can see our screen, or maybe. Yes, okay. Oh, you don't need to see our screen. Okay, so first, again, Chris, amazing film. I've seen it, I don't even know how many times, like 20 times, but that was the first time I've seen it in a couple years, and yeah, it's amazing. And can you please give us a brief backstory of this film and how it came to be? Doesn't, you know, just kind of overview for those.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I was at a District 25 tournament, and the last time I was there, maybe like 20 years earlier, was the last time I'd run into Pat Smith. And while I was there, a guy named Lou Sergio, who is he's like an all-American wrestler and a former teammate of mine, he sent me Oliver's sizzle reel. I don't know how Lou got a hold of it. He just saw it somewhere. And he said, this guy's looking to try and make a film. So I knew from the trailer, or maybe Pat maybe had sent it out as well. So anyway, I wrote Pat and said, are you at Districts right now? And he wasn't. He had gone to a new school, which was Anthony's school. And I reached out to Oliver, and Oliver was living in California, working for Hulu. And he kind of had put the project on hold. I think it had been something he had done maybe a year earlier or so, and wasn't really thinking that it was going to do anything. And I kind of said, well, when you're back in town, let's sit down and talk, and we can, figure out if there's a potential for a story here. So he and I went out, we got lunch when he came back in town, and he had kind of seen it as a short film. And I basically was like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do a feature-length film. So we went and we met with Anthony, and we talked to Pat, we talked to the school, and we decided to make a film. That's basically it.
That was amazing. Sorry, Anthony gave me his phone right when I'm like, sorry. Thanks for that backstory. One more question I had for you, Chris, was what was the hardest part about putting the film together after you realized that you had all the funding from the Kickstarter people?
I mean, the most difficult thing was putting the story together. It was kind of like a hot mess of footage. I shot like 99% of it. Well, maybe like 95% of it by myself, at like wrestling matches or at practices and stuff, and just Anthony's life. But whenever it came to matches, we had anywhere from like 3 to 6 cameras running at a time. So it was like hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage from multiple angles. And when we made it, I mean, we started making this 9 years ago. So it was, there was no money to make it when we started it. So I had a bunch of guys that worked with that were interested in the project. So they would bring stuff to help us film. So they would bring their cameras, and bring their lenses, because they all wanted to be a part of it. So if you know anything about cameras or anything, mixing 3 or 4 different cameras or 6 different cameras together, and then you're not syncing them together, and it just became like this hodgepodge of a mess to try and put back together. And if you know anything about film, whenever you're trying to sync it, you use a slate, to try and sync all the cameras. But we had 6 guys that were running around tournaments and matches. They were just shooting their own stuff. So there was one guy following Anthony around, and there was one guy following Mike around, and there was another, and a lot of times I would sit there for hours watching the footage, and I would watch for like Terrence to walk past the screen, and then I'd watch on another camera to see when Terrence would walk past the screen from their angle, and then I would listen for one of the refs to blow their whistle, and that was my slate. So that's how I was syncing it up. It took me months to put all of the cameras together and to put all the matches together so I could figure out where everything was. It was a hot mess. It was not the way you're supposed to do it, but whenever you're doing everything for nothing, that's the way we did it.
Wow.
Honestly, Chris, I didn't even know the extent of that, and that's just next level incredible. Like, that makes my mind spin.
It worked out. It's a good story.
The way you were able to just like you set like the landmarks in your head from like the whistle to everything. That's insane to be able to map that out in your mind and just figure that out.
Yeah, well, I knew the story in my head because I'd been there living it. So it was just a matter of going back to the footage and figuring out from the footage how to tell that story.
Well, I can't thank you enough for, making this film a reality. And just like, I've probably watched this movie over like 200 times, and I literally still cry every single time, and it still get like that feeling in my heart where I'm like, why can't I just jump back into the screen and like win that match? Like it's crazy. You really make me relive it, which is, an incredible storytelling ability.
Thanks for letting me film it.
Oh, thank you for capturing it.
Yeah,
Got it.
that was awesome. All right. Next, we're gonna go to Anthony's mom, and if Sue's on,
The Queen.
let's see.
Susie,
Let's see. We
they're
can
calling.
wait. We can wait if she. We can go to her.
You have to wait a minute. You
All
better
right,
go to
I'll go to you then next, Bo, and then Sue when she gets in. Okay, so how do you find forgiveness to be like your go-to with the whole CBA and the kid's father who said this Special Olympics comment? Like, why are you so quick to not just be mad about those types of situations?
come on. I mean, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all live in the circumstances we have in the big scheme of things. You
Yeah, but I would be so upset if I'd known Anthony.
We all
at
were.
the
I
time.
was, but like the CBA thing, for instance, like St. John Vianney was so beautiful. Pat Smith was so beautiful. And the day Anthony walked into that school, it was great. And then excuse me for saying this, Kelly, but Anthony likes chicks, and he didn't want to go to an all-girls school either. So
All boys.
Oh, boys.
Yeah.
what I mean,
Basically,
but,
all because it was CBS.
yeah. But anyway, so am I upset about CBA? Listen, they understand it was a mistake. There were some people in place who never really thought this thing through. So it's a learning thing for people. Blind kids and all. Look, we all make mistakes. I see myself, all the things that the pressure Anthony was under all those times. I mean, was some of what not real. I thought about it. Like, I used to take the blame for all the pressure Anthony was under, but it's Anthony's fault, because Anthony was the one who insisted that he wrestle, and you can't go into wrestling with one foot in. So once Anthony insisted to wrestle, like, it's all right, Anthony, this is going to be it, and we're going to I'm going in with you too, like we do with everything. But so here's Sue, so you can ask Sue for a question.
Love you, Dad.
That was
My dad took me to every single tournament from 7th grade on. We went every weekend all around the country, like tri-state area. We drove everywhere to go find the best tournaments, to lose every match we could. And I couldn't, so much of my success. I had so many coaches, and excuse me for saying this for my coaches that are here, but I wrestled the best with my dad in my corner. When he was coaching me, I felt unstoppable. So thanks, Dad.
We had a lot of fun, Anthony.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, well, thanks for the tips on how to forgive, because I'm gonna need it with all this stuff. Okay, so Mom, what was it like raising Anthony compared to your other 4 children? How did you find a way to actually treat him like everyone else and not worry of the outcome? Like, if he actually like fell on the skateboard, or I don't know, just in general, like how?
Kelly, that's a really good question. It's loaded. I always had in my mind that he was just another human being, and he had challenges, but I never doubted that he could overcome them. So
What happened?
Uh-oh,
What happened?
we just lost Mom.
Oh.
Wait,
You all good now?
tell Mom to say that one more time. We just lost her on that last part.
I was just saying that when I gave birth to him, it was really difficult to realize and come to the real, idea. This is my 5th child. He's really fortunate to be able to have the brothers and sisters, which he modeled after. He was treated like another child. He wasn't coddled. That was one thing that
I know when we mute Bo, though, we lose Sue. I am sorry, guys.
Then here, use my phone.
Yeah,
oh,
that's better.
what's going on?
Use my phone.
Just yeah. Okay, cool.
I don't know what you heard that I said.
We
No,
heard
we heard it all. It was perfect. And anything else you want to say that?
anything about the film or anything?
Say that I'm so grateful, and I'm so happy to hand the baton over to you, Kelly. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you.
I really see something in you that's so real, that brings out the best in Anthony and the best in you.
Make me cry.
I love you, Mom. I'll never forget
Thanks
growing
for
up.
getting him ready.
My mom was never the one to coddle, like she said. I'll never forget, like, being even in the like toy stores, like a 5-year-old blind kid, and I'd be like, Mom, I really want this toy, and she'd be like, all right, here's $5. Go find the counter and pay for it. And I'd be like standing there like, what do you mean? Like, show me where the counter is. This isn't fair. And she'd be like, Anthony, I'm not always going to be here. You need to figure it out for yourself. And like, those types of things really stick with you and really help shape who I am today. So thank you, Mom.
You're welcome, Ants. I love you, and I don't know. It's just a happy time.
Love you too. Thank
Sweet.
you.
Thanks for joining, guys. All
Peace
right.
out.
Please stick around. We have some general too. All right, and then okay, so Mike,
Mike.
what was the hardest thing to get through to Anthony after his losses? Like any pep talks that you remember specifically that stand out?
No, it was awful because I don't mean that, and I don't mean that to say like, oh, they were more awful than anyone else's, but they were, it's the same thing when I talk to my son, right? Like, so if there's any deficiency that my son has, whether it be speed or strength or whatever, I have to actually address those deficiencies. Well, guess what? When you're dealing with a person that can't see, those deficiencies become greater. So no, there was no pep talk that can say, well, next time you'll see better. Because you won't. It was just, you won't. It's shitty to say, right? Because but it's true, right? And like, so like when I talk to my son, I'll say, well, next time you can be a little faster, next time you can be a little stronger. But no, there was nothing that I could say to Anthony that was going to make everything okay. And that was challenging. It was a challenging conversation to have. It was well, you ain't gonna see better next time, so you better buck up. So,
Oh man, Mike, those are some of the best, literally the best talks of my life, literally, that stick with me today. I'll never forget in high school. I was just like, it was at a time where I was just hated being blind. I was so like hung up over being blind. And I was like, just wanted to change. Like I wanted so bad to be normal like everyone else. And I'll never forget this one time sitting with Mike at the club, like just me and him. And it was one of the realest moments in my life that someone ever said to me. And he just looked at me and he goes, I gotta break it to you, man. You're effing blind. Like there's nothing you could do about it too. Like you're not gonna wake up tomorrow and see, like you're blind. And that's all right. We gotta work around it and work through it. You gotta, like you said, buck up. And it's like that stuff stuck with me so much to this day, where it's like sometimes I'll be feeling sorry for myself and like, just hate being blind. And I'm like, dude, you're blind. Like that's not, you just control what you can control. Like I can control getting up out of bed. I can control doing these things, like going, having a life for myself and doing these things. So thank you for that. Seriously, like
first call at the Olympics?
You were, when I got the call from the Paralympics, I'll never forget. I got the call. I'm sitting there feeling sorry for myself. My brother passed away. All these things are going on. And the film's like getting all this recognition. It's about to like come out. And I get a phone call. I'm sitting home and it's like, hello, and this is the United States Olympic Committee. Is this Anthony Ferraro? I'm like, yeah, you have the wrong number. Like, and they're like, no, we saw the documentary. We want to know if you consider training judo for the Paralympics. And I hung up. Literally was like, let me think about this. I'll call you back. I hang up right away. The first person I call is Mike Malinconico, and I say, Mike, the Paralympics called me and asked me if I consider training judo. Like, it's only blind people, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, shut up, hang up, and go say yes. And I never forget that second I hung up and called back and said yes. And ever since, like, been training nonstop again and just, doing so much more with my life and found like so many new passions, and it's been amazing. So you literally have no idea how much influence and positive effect you have on my life to this day. So thank you.
Rockstar. Yeah. That's so, I love that. Maybe I'll get to meet you someday, Mike.
Yes.
All right. So Pat, why did you why did you listen to the other kid who originally told you about Anthony in the 8th grade blind wrestler? And can you walk us briefly through that thought process of getting Anthony accepted to SJV? What?
Tell him it was Nick Proto.
Oh, Nick Proto.
Yeah. So it's just I guess there's two parts to that. So one is the yin and yang here. So one is the ruthless wrestling coach that wants to win. I hear there's a tri-county champion that's available. And then also the second part of that too is being I guess a Christian and an educator and a parent and having a big heart and just kind of knowing that we are a Catholic Christian community that can rally around them. My stepfather was sick and towards the end had lost his vision. So I grew up with a parent that was blind for a period of time. So it was something that didn't scare me off, and it was almost the mentality, it's not what he can't do, it's what he can do, and again, I just put it back on our school and give them all the courage in the world for having, again, the courage to see past the stigma of handicap and disability and, do the right thing. So, I guess we are who we say we are at St. John's.
Awesome.
Yes, you are.
That's good. Well, that was a life-changing moment. So
literally, I'll never forget. Going to school and first day of school, I was so nervous. I'm the only blind kid going to this high school, but I was so pumped about the wrestling program because Mr. Smith got me all excited. Mike told me too, like, yeah, Mr. Smith, he's a great coach. Like, you're gonna love it there. And I remember going there, and I'm so nervous first day of school. Like, I'm in my first class. I'm like, oh man, how am I gonna get to the next class? Like, what am I gonna do? And 5 minutes before class is over, there's a knock on the door, and there's two beautiful women waiting for me, students, and they're like, yeah, we're here to pick up Anthony Ferraro to bring him to the next class. And I just remember feeling like, oh man, I could get used to this place. And like, it made me feel so at home and like made me feel a part of his family, introduced me to his whole family, who's incredible, and really just became more than a coach, just a lifetime friend. So, we hang out to this day. So I really just appreciate having you in my life.
I love you, brother.
Love you too. And thank you for being here.
All right. And the last question for individual. Anthony, how did you pick yourself up after such a big loss? Did you ever find a way to look on the bright side of your accomplishments? My favorite part is when you're upset and you're like on a podium and you're second and there's still someone who's lower than you and you're like so upset that you're not first. And I'm like, you're literally on the podium. Like, how have you switched that way of thinking at all yet, or still working on it?
In high school, I was so there's no pun intended, but like I was so blinded on like just winning this one goal I had set for me, and I like didn't really enjoy the ride, so to say. Like I was so fed up on that, and like I didn't even enjoy some of my like big wins, through high school because I was just so focused on that bigger win, and that's really taught me in life, like, there are these huge goals we have to go to and that we want to achieve, and that's okay. Like, we should always set our goals super high, but we really need to enjoy, the process getting there. And like, to this day now, like I take with myself in judo, I'm trying to win a gold medal in the Paralympics, but along the way, I'm getting to travel the world and meet all these interesting people and help people along the way, and just, go to places I've never been, and, train a whole new art and just learn so much. And it's incredible to, gold medal or not, that's a win in itself. And it's just so amazing to experience. And like picking myself up, that loss at the end of high school, it sucked, and it sucks now. Like I just watched it again, and it's awful. Like I feel it all through it, like again, like it just sucks. Like, and it's this awful like feeling you feel that you didn't accomplish what you wanted, but you just like it's like Ollie said, it's just a wrestling match at the end of the day. And you got to pick yourself up and keep moving forward. Because what are you going to do in life when you don't get the job that you went and did like 3 interviews for? You're going to just quit going and try and find a job? No, you're going to pick yourself up and go find a job that you're going to get. So it's just how it is in life. And, you know, I try and take that with me.
Awesome. Well, yeah, sorry, we have to watch it so much. So.
No, it's amazing.
So that's probably not your favorite memory of filming A Shot in the Dark was that loss. That was my next question for everybody. What was your favorite memory of filming? That probably wasn't yours, right? What was your favorite?
My favorite memory of filming A Shot in the Dark was probably I think the scene where me and Chris did like the microwave and the refrigerator scene where I'm like, it's carrots, baby carrots. And then obviously the number one is like where Ollie's with the random douche and he's like messing with the guy at the tournament, like saying, yeah, I think the kid just like pretends being blind. The guy, they're just like messing with him and he's like, you know, F you, whatever. It was amazing. It's like Ollie in a nutshell, like such a jokester.
Anyone else? Favorite parts of filming Shot in the Dark, being in it, living it?
Yeah, can we talk about the fact that Chris was not prepared for what was going on at Rhino at that time? Like he came there to capture Anthony Ferraro swinging a couple kettlebells,
Flipping fires.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Chris was not prepared to go. Yeah, he's getting tortured every second.
I wasn't surprised. I don't think I was surprised. What I was surprised by was Rhino. I loved that place. The way it was like thrown together. It was like you couldn't design a better looking wrestling room than Rhino.
I'll never forget. Rhino used to be like this in this fancy like hosh posh place in Wall, and like, you know, it's all nice, but it had this like pillar in the middle of the room that I'd always run into and stuff. And then we moved locations to the like little place, and it was like this little Rocky training gym. And I'll never forget when Mike gave me the tour around. He's like, here, let me just walk you around once and you'll get it. And it was literally like I was so pumped. It was like this little room, and we made it like a playground. There was literally like handlebars, like monkey bars with like cloths tied to them where we do like pull-ups and stuff like that. Like we were psychopaths. Like it was literally test center for like will this type of workout work for a human being. Like I'll never forget my first 24-hour lock-in where we were locked in. You know, we did workouts for at the top of every hour for 24 hours. It could range from anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. And at like 2 a.m. I was passed out in the middle of the floor, and then Mike like came over to me. He's like, all right, you gotta do 50 pull-ups. And I'm pretty sure I remember walking over the pull-up bar like so delusional, and you just realized at that moment how powerful you are, like your mind over matter. And I literally did, I think 50 or 45 pull-ups in a clip and walked back to my spot on the wall and just passed out again. Like it was, and I loved it. Like Mike made me love like just hard work there was this one time where I got in a fight with my mom because I was cutting weight and I was being a jerk, and I was trying to cut weight for this tournament in the summer for like some, you know, national tournament. And my mom didn't know what to do and couldn't control me and called Mike. And Mike called me. He comes to my house, picks me up in the car. He's like, get in the car. And he takes me to Rhino and puts me through like the most extreme workout. And he's like, don't you ever do that to your mom. Like, you better just start training harder. Blah, blah. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Oh.
Okay, first, all those things that have to do with the 24-hour lock-ins, those are hearsay and slander. We shan't we shan't speak those names again. But no, look, here's the thing. So Chris would come in, he would see what's going on, and like, good on you for like. And so now that I'm kind of understanding the filmmaking process, like, good on you for like executing on like, the angles in the room and like the amazing, like, I don't know, man. Like, so just to see Chris do that was pretty incredible to me. So thanks for everybody.
Well, thank you. I'm just glad we got Rhino on the camera. Like, I love that shot, pushing in and seeing everyone wrestle in the room. I'm glad that it's on record, you know?
I like the Olympic rings. It's like foreshadowing. All right. What was one of the key things about Anthony that stuck out during this time that made you think, like, wow, you know, this kid either, oh, he's like peaking or he's actually going places? Like, what was your, like, anybody, do you have any, like, anyone dream about his future, I guess, during this weird time?
Kaylee sitting next to me going, Dad, go. So, I mean, just, I remember, like, you know, during weigh-ins and everything and having to talk to the opposing coach and, you know, saying, hey, listen, you know, we have a 152 pounder or we have a 160 pounder, you know, that's blind and there's going to be a touch start. And I remember coaches being like, okay, you know, I'll make sure my boy takes it easy. And I'm like, no, like, you don't get it. Like he's good. You know, the coach, oh, no, we're all right. And I just remember Anthony just match after match after match, you know, right off the bat launching somebody, you know, and the kid's eyes just going, boy, you know, and, you know, realizing like, oh, crap, you know, and it was kind of neat. So, you know, right off the gate, you know, as a freshman, I think he won 19, 20 matches. And, you know, we knew we had something, you know, just right off the bat, even in the room, you know, rolling around with everybody. But yeah, that would always kind of, I'd chuckle because I'm telling him like, no, he's good. Like, trust me, you know, I don't know, coach. And, you know, it was kind of cool.
That's
So
funny. I always remember the handshakes that would start, like, kids would give me the double handshake and they'd be like, good luck, man. And then we'd wrestle and then, you know, they'd run off like kicking the chair or something.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Anyone else before we try and pull some from the audience?
Yeah, I can tell you one thing, Kelly, which about Anthony and about the whole process, and the thing was that sometime towards the end of the whole thing, I think right before the regions, I happened to be standing next to the Howell coach, assistant coach, Todd Going, who was a really good wrestler in his day, and you know, Howell and Anthony. That was it, man. That was the, you know, for 3 years it was Howell and Anthony and Howell. I mean, they were like the number 3 team in the state, like every year, and you know, they were the ones who used to complain about Anthony, about having to wrestle Anthony, and always trying to figure out a way to beat Anthony. And like, you know, I admire him for that, and that's what they're supposed to do. But the funny thing was, you know, you see what Anthony did. He worked his ass off. And, you know, I always said to Anthony, you'll be as good as hard as you work. It's like anything you do. You want to play the guitar, then play the freaking guitar and practice the guitar, because you're not going to get better sitting there. You're not going to get better thinking about it. You're not going to get better just because you're blind. So Todd Going was like talking about Anthony and about, you know, the advantage he had because he was, you know, blind, and, you know, you had to wrestle his style. And I said to Todd, I said, you know, do you ever think like the reason Anthony's good is because he works his ass off? And Going, the gentleman that he was, he like looked at me and he goes, yeah, you're right. And that was it. You know, that was it. That's all it was about. You know, like, wasn't about winning, it was about how hard he worked, because you don't get that far. You know, everybody wants it. Everybody was doing it. Like Mike said up front, you know, Region 6, the short conference, was one of the toughest in the state. And, you know, and Anthony, that's something I think needs to remember. Like, you know, nothing's going to happen unless you work at it. So, you know, son.
Yeah.
Can I say something? Because I couldn't figure out how to work the Zoom thing. I'm sorry. I want to say, when I watched that movie, this was probably the 3rd time I've seen it. The most incredible thing, and this time it was so joyful, was when Oliver came and surprised Anthony, and Anthony's like, oh, fuck. You know, it was just like, and to like relive those great memories. And thank you for all the memories. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
With more to come, more to make.
More to make. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right.
Oh, we have a good future ahead.
Yeah, I know. We do. We
Absolutely.
really do. So, oh, all right. Let's see. Let's see. While I pull, yeah. Let's see. What do we have here? Let's see. What was harder for Anthony to learn, top, bottom, or neutral? Of course, Mike Bollinger would want to know like specifics.
I don't know,
love you,
Mike. You want to take this?
Yeah, it was so neutral.
Neutral, yeah.
Was a trick because we had to really figure out how to and like this is not a conversation that I ever had with Anthony, and it was never a conversation that I had with anyone, but it was a conversation that I had in my brain a million times over. Like, how do I get this kid to react to leg attacks when he can't feel when he can't see the person, kind of dropping level? So it was tricky. So neutral defense was tough. And truth be told, if I'm going to be completely honest, from that specific time period, if I had to do it over again, I would spend more time on mat wrestling, just because Anthony was so good offensively that we didn't even kind of think about, like, oh man, what if somebody holds you down even for X amount of time? And so like that amount of time compounds when you're offensive on your feet. So it was something that like I never even kind of considered, and like having to do it over again, and I think about it quite a bit. More than I should, probably more than I should, but it's something that, like, yeah, if I had to do it over again, I would spend more time on bottom, and I would make sure that absolutely no one could hold him down for any period of time.
You're the man, Mike. No regrets.
Yeah, he's like,
Except the regret.
I'd tell you, describe his nonverbals. He literally tilting his head, leaning back, and like, Anthony, I definitely am. You have a regret too. Like,
regrets all you like. That shit.
Yeah, I know.
Channel his motivational speaker, right? But let's keep it real for 2 seconds, right? Let's keep it real for 2 seconds.
I feel you. That's a great question. What else you got?
What else do I got? Audience, please send me more. I don't have any. No one said anything. I'm gonna have to ask one of my other ones if you guys don't.
You guys can unmute your mic to ask a question if you don't know how to send one. You could ask anyone a question.
Yeah, I think.
Kelly, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
It's a question, Anthony, for you. And I always thought about this, like, throughout the years.
I'm trying to figure out how I can.
Being that your senses are so heightened because you don't have sight, was it hard to hear your coaches and like your dad and like get directions, like listen to direction while you were wrestling with a crowd?
That's actually such a great question, Isabel. I literally used to struggle with this because I would hear my coaches, but I would have such good hearing that I get so hung up over what the other coaches were saying and what the other fans were saying, because I got to this point where people kept saying I had this unfair advantage, and even to the point where some people would say I was faking being blind. So like, and then coaches saw that they could get in my head, so they would do it very almost like sneaky, and no one else would know what was going on, and I would let it get to me so much, and I'd almost pretty much blow up a couple times until I got it under control after it happened so many times. But I really struggled with just, trying to block out the other people because, you know, I did listen for my coaches a lot, and that's how I got through a lot of my matches. But a lot of it was trying to fight that other side that I was always trying, like always hearing.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, it's like how do you unhear things? You really
Yeah.
can't.
Ugh, no.
Thank
Man.
you.
And thanks, Kelly, for doing this with
Thanks for
Anthony.
being
Yeah,
here.
of course. Awesome. Or any other
Anyone
questions?
else want to unmute and ask a question? Go
So,
ahead.
Anthony and Kelly, how are you?
Hey, Donna.
Hey, Donna.
Hey, Sue. Hey, Bo. So I've had the opportunity to hear Anthony speak. He spoke for my high school volleyball team, and he also just spoke at a retreat last weekend. And I have to tell you, and watching the movie again really solidifies this. The emotion that you show in the video is actually the emotion that you have when you speak. And it keeps, there were like 5 speakers on the retreat. I don't know if you watched the retreat. And between you and this other person, like you were so engaged because of how your emotions were just so real. And it was so interesting to hear. And people were like, you don't know how many comments I've had just saying, oh my God, I could listen to him every day. I can listen to his story. And that's a real true gift. And it started with this movie that you made because the emotions that you showed there are just following you throughout your motivation speaking, which is such an asset to everyone that listens to you. And I have to tell you one thing I need you to do in your motivational speaking, because if you remember correctly, when you were speaking to the volleyball seniors in the high school team, after your whole beautiful speech, what was the only question they asked? Do you remember, Kelly?
Yeah. Was how we met.
How did you and Kelly meet?
That's so true.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
You may want to put that in your next speech.
The best part is she was my first date to my premiere in New York City, and it's history ever since.
I know, I was there, and thank God, because she's a beautiful girl.
I know. Thank you so much, Donna. We love you.
We love you, and you know you're going to be speaking. I'm going to hear your motivational speech many more times. Trust me.
Absolutely. Set up this week. I'm gonna get back to you.
Yeah, let me know if you can do that.
Absolutely,
Please.
I can.
Yes. All right. Well, I got basically one more for everyone since we're getting to the point. I got to let everyone go that joined us here on the East Coast. It's been a while since this was filmed, obviously, and it's been a while since it was released. So, is there anything specifically that you guys are all working on right now that you want to share, kind of in terms of what maybe the film had an impact of how you're going, where you're going, or that time in your life motivated you, or kind of I know Chris, maybe you have a new movie maybe, and I know Mike, you live in Texas now, so it's like anyone else, elaborate on those things maybe, you guys, or I'll leave it open, whoever wants to start.
I want to see what Chris has coming up next.
Right?
Yes, Chris. Chris, let's hear it.
I have another film. It's not a shot in the dark though. I needed a break. I needed a break from documentaries after 5 years of making that one, and then another year on the festival circuit. I was when we premiered at Hot Springs. I remember we were being interviewed for some TV show or something, and they were like, "What are you gonna do next?" And Anthony's like, "Oh, I'm training for the Olympics." And they were like, And they came to me like, "What are you doing next?" And I'm like, "I just want to take a nap."
I remember that.
It was so So I have like a short narrative film that we're just wrapping up right now. And we got into a couple festivals. So
what's it called?
It's like a little Twilight Zone thriller called Cricket.
Is there any way people can watch it yet or no?
Not yet. No, we'll release it soon. I mean, it's literally like 17 minutes long. So it'll be on the web. It was just for fun. We just want to do something creative and something completely different.
Awesome. Yeah, you need that.
So, and I did have a conversation the other day about another documentary, but the person's kind of nutty, so I don't think I can do it. The famous musician, and I've had multiple people warn me away from it. So
That's the worst.
yeah, so too much.
Good.
You're
No
good, you're good with nutty, Chris.
But I'm like, I got 45 and I have 2 kids now, so like the nuts like locked up. Like I'm tired. I just need. I gotta stay in the house.
He's nut butter.
What about you, Mike? As did the film, or what are you up to these days? What's changed?
Since the film, nothing.
Still got your ostrich boots?
Look, man. I don't know. I am I'm grateful that this stupid sport has provided enough for my family and I to be sustainable. That's about it. Like we're pretty fortunate in that wrestling has sustained our living for 10 years plus. So we're all pretty fortunate.
That's amazing.
Well, I remember thinking, Mike, when I was in high school and you were at Rhino, I remember thinking, like, why is this guy here? Like, he literally should be training people like all around the world. Like, this guy is seriously the best coach, you know, technically that I've ever like ran into, and it's just like I'll never forget this one conversation sitting with you, and you know, you used to try and tell me like what level I was actually at, and I just never believed it, and it was a hard thing for me to like comprehend at that time. You know, you used to tell me like, Anthony, you're on a D1 level, and like you, if you want to stick with it, you can go to the Olympics. And I remember thinking like, if you're a psycho for even mentioning the word Olympics, and the funniest part is now I'm training for the Paralympics in judo. So it's just like, you know, you're right on so many levels. So thank you for everyone here for always believing in me and just for taking your time out to be here, especially. It's really great, you know, being with all you guys again and seeing you guys.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Oh, it's
Yeah.
David.
I have a quick
David.
question for Chris, if possible. Chris, I'm wondering if you were to start a documentary again on Anthony training for the Paralympics, what type of things would you change, or what type of things in your approach would you adjust? Like, not really talking about, say, the slating technical wise, but regards to capturing Anthony's personality and trying to convey something in a documentary.
Yeah. Hold on. Chris is muted. 1 second.
All right, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm in like the wide view. I'm not used to this. So what do you call it? What would I do differently with Anthony right now? It would be a little bit of a different story. Anthony's a different person right now. When we started that, what was he, 17? He was a shy kid. So there was kind of, for me, there was a little bit of a battle of trying to tell Anthony's story, but you know, there's only so much you can do with a shy kid, you know? So, and Mike and Pat were so much character, you know, they were such interesting characters. I focused on them as much. And the original cut of the film was actually like kind of like a 50-50 film. It was about coaches and about this blind kid. And we went back and I reworked it. We shot some more stuff with Anthony to kind of make it a little bit stronger. But Anthony nowadays, like, he's a completely different person. So the way I would handle it would be much more focused on him, like being very personal with him. You know, it's different to point a camera at a 17-year-old kid's face than it is a 25-year-old kid's who's constantly on social media. So I would focus on Anthony and have a very personal film about him. That's the way I would do that one.
Yeah, I remember even you saying to me after the film was released, Chris, and I almost regret like being such a shy kid, or like, you know, but I know it's just the way it was. And like, if I could see the future of like everyone's vision, it would have been a lot easier for me to like open up and stuff. But I
It's not.
remember,
It's completely normal. It's completely to be expected of a 17-year-old. It's very rare that you get someone who's going to be like a chatty Cathy, and it's
Yeah.
like, look at me. It's like the most, it's a very difficult part of your life where you're kind of insecure and awkward, and
Yeah.
someone pointing a camera at you is you have to be a strange person to really love that. So, yeah, but today you be a different person. It's much easier to kind of deal with an adult who's comfortable.
no, I remember you even saying like we would have done stuff of like me, even how I use my iPhone and different things like that. Like
Yeah.
and
There was also kind of like a little bit of a weird thing because like I knew Ollie, he was in California, but it took me a while to kind of get to know you,
absolutely, no, 100%.
And like, like when I made the film I made before that was the Rock documentary. Like I had known those guys. So whenever I kind of dove in with them, it was just kind of like they were expecting me to always be there, but it was a little bit different, like we didn't know each other that well. And I wasn't too involved in your personal life at first. It was more like trying to figure out your story as we went along.
Absolutely, no, the way you were able to tell was incredible. And thank you.
Right.
Thanks a lot, David. Thanks for that question. That was David, and actually me and David he's capturing so much of my life right now just through photography, and he's an incredible photographer. We're doing a project together over like a long period of time, a story told through film, like pictures and photography. And so if you guys follow David Gannon, and you can check out our story. So thank you, David, for coming up. And thank you, Mike. Thank you so much, Pat. Pat, is there anything else you want to say? You were like such a big part of this film and such a big part of my life. And, thank you for everything. Thanks for being here. Your family's amazing.
Now, I had just again, I've said it a zillion times. You spoke at our retreats and everything. Just super proud of you, brother. And we're there for you. And anything we can do, we always will. So love you, brother.
Love you. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Thanks for being here. And thanks again, Chris, really, for taking out your time. I know you have so much going on. And Mike as well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, see you guys
Good
later.
night.
Have a great
Thanks,
night.
Anthony.
All right. Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Good night, Anthony.